Hello and welcome to this film, which is all about the practical called making borax crystals. It might not come as any great surprise to see that we've got some borax for this experiment. Another name for that is sodium tetraborate. One of the main things we've got to do with this is to dissolve it in some water. We're going to heat the water to help it dissolve. So here's a Bunsen, here's a tripod and a gauze. You need a 500ml beaker that you're going to be heating your water in. You need another beaker 400ml that you're going to put your snowflake into, okay, and you're going to suspend your snowflake from the top of the beaker using a peg or a pencil or a pen or something you've got handy. Make your snowflake out of 3 pipe cleaners and suspend it using some string. Okay, so no particularly complex equipment there, but please remember to use a heat mat to protect your bench when you're heating things. Okay, so our first job is to weigh out 40 grams of borax into our 500ml beaker. So take your 500ml beaker over to the balance and put 40 grams of borax into it. Then we need to put 400ml of water into our beaker, and we're going to bring it to a boil. Now you could bring it to the boil on the Bunsen if you'd like to, but it's going to be a lot quicker for you if you take some hot water from the kettle and just keep it boiling with your Bunsen. And what you're going to try and do here is, with stirring with a glass rod, you're just going to allow all this borax to dissolve. Now you're trying to make a saturated solution, so don't worry if some borax won't dissolve. That's actually quite a good thing in some ways. Okay, so by the time we've done that, we should have a hot solution of borax. If you can take it off there with your fingers, then do so. If not, wait for it to cool down so that you can do that safely. Your next job is to make a kind of snowflake shape out of your 3 pipe cleaners. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to aim for a kind of 6-pointed star like that, and we're going to make the rest of the snowflake pattern with our string. So take your 3 toothpicks, and by bending one around the others, you can gradually turn it into a 6-sided or 6-pointed star or snowflake kind of pattern. Okay, should end up looking roughly symmetrical, but it doesn't really matter if you don't get it looking perfectly symmetrical. All it's going to be really, it's going to be a frame on which the borax crystals can form when they come out of the solution. Okay, next stage is to take some of your string, tie it around one of the points of the star, and when you're doing this you want to leave a little bit of string over, because later when you get round back to the beginning you want something to tie the string onto. Hopefully that will make a bit more sense in a minute. Okay, so you've got a little bit of string dangling here, then you take your string and you wrap it around each point of the star in turn, and so you get round and round until you get back to the beginning. And once you're back at the beginning, you just tie that loose end of string onto that piece of string so that it's all tied together, and hopefully if you're lucky you can make it look a bit more like a snowflake than mine does. But what we're going to do now, before we set things up and leave them to stand, I'm just going to trim the ends of these pipe cleaners off so that we've got a kind of hexagon shape, I suppose you could say, which is going to turn into our snowflake eventually. Okay, and that's so that we can suspend our snowflake, and also so that it fits into our 400ml beaker, because you'll see that if you don't cut these ends off it won't be able to go into your beaker. And you can see mine's actually a little bit large at the moment, but that's okay because they squash up quite easily. Okay, now next job is to pour this borax solution into there and to let it cool so that crystals start to form on our snowflake. It's best if before you do that you tie your snowflake around your peg or a pencil or something that is going to keep it suspended in this beaker and stop it just hitting the bottom of it. Okay, so something like that. As you can see, mine's looking a little bit untidy, but that's okay. As long as we've got somewhere for the crystals to form, we're happy. Okay, so then take your borax solution. Remember, this is going to be quite hot, so be careful. Hold it by the rim. Pour in enough of your solution into this beaker to cover your snowflake, and now you're going to leave it undisturbed for about 24 hours, maybe a bit more depending on when your next lesson is. And when you come back, hopefully you'll have some lovely borax crystals growing all over your snowflake. So good luck with it. I hope it works out for you. If you've got any questions about it or any of it doesn't make sense, please let your teacher know and make sure you ask and write a nice clear method before you get started.